Hi, it's Cara Brown, and this is Watercolor Conversations. It's a place where I share my love of watercolor and my seeking, my teaching, my discoveries, the connections I see, and just in general what it's like to be alive at this time here on planet Earth. I hope that this meets a part of you that's longing to be met. Thanks for being here. Hi, it's Cara. I have gotten caught up in the swirling, whirling winds of life, and podcast episodes are the first to go when there's too much to do. And yet I have in my heart that I want to be offering you my thoughts, my words, my teaching. And in the meantime, I discovered a recording of something that I had done a couple years ago. This is what this poem says to me recording. It's about a poem, yes, a poem. And then my friend Vicki died. It wasn't sudden, but it was sudden to me because I didn't know that her health had taken a turn. We hadn't talked since in the spring, and it went rather quickly, and somehow I didn't know, and I found out that she had passed away. And this poem came back to me because it first inspired me as a reflection of her life. She led an incredibly remarkable life of amazing courage. She went to the Democratic Republic of Congo all on her own, the first time in 2008, because she was compelled to support the victims of the worst sexual violence on the planet. Vicki went more than a dozen times to Congo, and that's just one of the things that she did with her life. She did many amazing things. This poem spoke to me of her spirit, of the aliveness that she felt, along with vulnerability, along with a very human humility. So I'm going to share what I said a couple years ago, and I hope you enjoy. I hope you find some wisdom, some ideas, some inspiration. And I do this in the spirit of love and appreciation for the time I got to share with my beloved Dr. Victoria Bentley while she was here. It's a poem by David Whyte called Mameen. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that, but it's Mameen. And my understanding is that it's a place on the coast of Ireland. I love this poem. I am inspired by it. I feel an energy in it. There's a calling and a calling forth in it. I was charged at one point in time to explain my relationship with this poem. This is a really, feels to me, audacious thing for me particularly to do because I am so not a poem person. Like I can't imagine writing a poem, although there are pieces on my blog, on my online journal that sort of are poemy. But this is my podcast, so I can do whatever I want to do. There's nobody to tell me not to. I'm going to share a few lines of the poem, and then I'm going to muse on it. Some of it based on some notes I made about 6 years ago, and some of it just with what's coming to me now in this moment. Mameen. Be infinitesimal under that sky, a creature even the sailing hawk misses, a wraith among the rocks where the mist parts slowly. What does it mean to be infinitesimal? I actually looked up the word to make sure I had the correct meaning. It means tiny, very, very tiny, which is very curious because it's got infinite in it, which seems very, very large or long or far away. Infinite is beyond limits. But what it really means is when you, in math, divide, you cannot actually get to zero. You can get very, very, very close to zero. So it has that very, 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 very close to zero feeling in it, being really tiny. And isn't this exactly just what we feel when we consider the vastness of the universe? I feel like this when I'm gazing up at the stars in the night sky, especially when I'm alone. I'm so present to being just a speck of aliveness on our little planet amidst this vast universe that is just beyond my and really any of our comprehension. I feel small in just the very best way. The good thing about this is that it reframes my challenges and worries. It has me feel both insignificant in the grand scheme of things, so not to take myself too seriously, and very precious at the same time. We attach a lot of significance in our world to artists. We associate art with its maker as if they are one. I think that people are reluctant, afraid even, to learn the craft of making art because they don't want to look foolish. I think that being infinitesimal helps. Recall the way mere mortals are overwhelmed by circumstance, how great reputations dissolve with infirmity, and how you, in particular, stand a hair's breadth from losing everyone you hold dear. Nothing in our manifest world is forever. Everything eventually dies, ends, runs out, can't be repeated. Things that are very dear to us stop existing in the way that we are used to them existing. But we really do want it that way. If I think about, even feel into being immortal, my physical body living on and on into forever, it's dreadful. There's a heaviness to the endlessness of it. But more importantly, I think that if things don't end, then nothing is precious. For me, thinking this way is a huge call to mindfulness, to be awake and present as much as I can. There is a particularity, a preciousness about every moment, and we do never know when it will all end. What do? We have to carry on in the face of that. It's also about anticipating my life to come. I am living, expecting to keep on living with the knowledge that it all could go away in the next moment. How's that for a paradox? Then look back down the path to the north, the way you came, as if seeing your entire past, and then south over the hazy blue coast, as if present to a broad future. As I record this, I'm sitting in my new studio. It's a Saturday. There's hardly anyone around. There's art on the walls. I could not imagine looking back the path to the north, the way I came, that any of this would be, that I would know these people, that I would have this studio, have claimed it as my space, that this would be how I could spend my life. My life was so much more contained, I guess. I mean, I went into San Francisco for a period in my life, and I worked in technical departments for big companies, and I knew different people, and we had different conversations, but none of it was so connected to who I really am as a person. I remember having conversations about the Enneagram and kind of therapy sort of oriented conversations. They weren't really therapy, but they were in that vein with a workmate. And she started calling me, oh, wise one. And I would say that I was masquerading as an information architect because that really wasn't what I was. And yet at that moment, I had no idea what I really was. So here I am. It's amazing. And I imagine that any of you listening to this could look back along the path to the north and see who you were. And where this brings me is to the path to the south and who I will be in the future, assuming that I will be in the future. And looking back to where I am now, sitting in this studio with this art, who knows? Who knows where it's going to be? But it's fun to play inside the imagination with these ideas. Recall the way you are all possibilities you can see and how you live best as an appreciator of horizons, whether you reach them or not. You know, what comes to me as I think about this is that I've never been a very successful goal setter, although I can definitely appreciate horizons, and maybe that's a slightly different thing than setting a goal. My view into the future is more one of the Art of Possibility authors Roz and Benjamin Zander's idea that it is possibility instead of possibilities, that the horizon is a possibility, that it's an unnameable, unknowable place of potentiality that's out there. And I can feel into it as a way of orienting myself without knowing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possibilities that might happen in the future. It's cool. I love that distinction. Admit that once you have got up from your chair and opened the door, once you have walked out into the clean air, toward that edge and taken the path up high, beyond the ordinary, you have become the privileged and the pilgrim, the one who will tell the story and the one coming back from the mountain who helped to make it. This is the part that I find a little trickier to respond to. I do have the sense that I am the privileged and the pilgrim because I'm such a seeker and because I am able to live the life that I'm living. But it's harder to imagine myself telling the story and coming back from the mountain, having made a story. The piece that I pulled out of my post when I was playing with this was the idea of patience. I had written this on the edge of a new year, that there's a hopefulness that we come to in certain times in our life, like a wish for things to be as we want them to be in the future. And what I've learned a little bit more than 6 decades into this life is that things almost never come as quickly as we want them to. At least the ones that we are hoping for. In my experience, what has come very quickly is the things I didn't even know that I wanted, and they just came. They arose like an apparition in my life. There it is. Wow, my new life, or my new direction, or what I'm going to do, like doing open studios and holding a group of artists in a gathering for the first time. But there is got up from your chair and opened the door and going out into the clean air. There is a, get off your buttness to this piece that I know is in us. And yet, if one is not ready to get off their butt, they don't. So we get ready to get off our butt when we do. We take the path when we do. I come back in this moment to where I come back often, a number of times anyway, in my musings in this space, and that is to grace. That there's some grace that bestows us with the nudges, with the inklings, with the desires, the hunger that has us get up off our butt when we do and go take the path and see what happens. It's a great place to stop here, is with this whole idea that if we go expecting it from the standpoint of expectancy, from the standpoint of possibility, that life is unfolding and new things are coming our way, amazingness is all around us. I love this poem. I'm going to read it all through so that you can get the whole sense of it. Be infinitesimal under that sky, a creature even the sailing hawk misses, a wraith among the rocks where the mist parts slowly. Recall the way mere mortals are overwhelmed by circumstance, how great reputations dissolve with infirmity, and how you, in particular, stand a hair's breadth from losing everyone you hold dear. Then look back down the path to the north, the way you came, as if seeing your entire past, and then south over the hazy blue coast, as if present to a broad future. Recall the way you are all possibilities you can see and how you live best as an appreciator of horizons, whether you reach them or not. Admit that once you have got up from your chair and opened the door, once you have walked out into the clean air toward that edge and taken the path up high, beyond the ordinary, you have become the privileged and the pilgrim, the one who will tell the story, and the one coming back from the mountain who helped to make it. Thanks for being with me today. I so appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye.